A back door into Samsung, a dog bone in a YouTube icon, and a 5-year-old phone that just won't die. That's the lead into the news of the week in the mobile tech space, alongside some new Samsung tablet reviews and, of course, all new HTC One leaks on episode 087 of the Pocketnow Weekly, the once-a-week audio podcast where we discuss smartphones, tablets, and wearables. From Boston, Massachusetts, I'm your host, Michael Fisher, editorial director at Pocketnow, and I'm joined on today's show by similarly cold chief news editor Stephen Schenk. Good afternoon to you.
What's the good word?
The boondoggle and keychains.
Works
and
for me.
by the man of many podcasts, senior editor Taylor Hot Pants Martin. Hailing
Hot
frequencies
pants.
open to you. Well, it's 46 degrees down there. You're living in vacation land, aren't you?
In these neck of the woods, hot pants are in this neck of the woods. Hot pants are Daisy Dukes.
They even tell you what. In these neck of the woods, Daisy Dukes are what we wear when it gets to above 40 degrees, all right?
My friend was standing in a coffee shop the other day, and I looked at my watch. I don't know why I did it. I walked up to him, and I looked at my watch, and I'm like,
Because
what are you doing in
wanted
these?
to know what time it was? I mean, shot in the dark.
The question I meant to ask him is, what are you doing in this neck of the woods? And I did the same thing I just did a minute ago. I looked at my watch, and I said, what are you doing in these? And I looked back at him, and his head just kind of cocked to the side, and he's like,
Blink.
it's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
What?
What are you doing in these, man?
How's that stroke working for you, Taylor?
I feel like we had a similar problem in our IM conversation before, where you were just not making any sense, and I was like, "Please do fewer drugs." Sure.
I think I'm suffering from dystonia.
I think so. I think you got to go listen to some more pop music. Cure yourself of that.
Ugh.
Shall we get through some announcements before we kick off the podcast?
Are we podcasting?
We are podcasting, yeah.
This
believe
is
it or
on the
not.
air?
Yeah, we're sharing.
Are we
this
on
with
the web?
The whole internet, the entirety of Prodigy.net. Yes.
Are we on the web?
I didn't do my hair or anything.
The Pocketnow Throwback is the subject of that 5-year-old phone that won't die. It is our HTC HD2 retro review, which is live on YouTube. In case you missed it, ICYMI for this TBT, Throwback Thursday, hashtag Anho. No, that's later. Hashtag HD2.
All right,
Go
I'm
watch
out.
it. It's cool.
You guys have a good podcast.
Stephen, you've been here for the Anho.
Ammonium
And-
nitrate.
That's what I said the first time somebody tweeted it at me. No, all new HTC One, brother.
I don't like that.
None of us like it.
hydrogen oxide. I don't
Veto.
even know if that's a thing.
Well, anyway, go watch the HD2 retro review if you want. And if you are like some commenters who are confused as to why we are posting old phones, A, it's about nostalgia. B, we have new news for you as well in the form of a Galaxy Tab Pro 10.1 review, and as of tomorrow, a Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4 review. And
All right.
yeah. So before we get into the Android section of the news, I want to ask Taylor, because we haven't actually talked about it in a couple of days, how do you like your 8.4 there? Can you give us a little teaser on your review conclusion?
Yeah, I actually like it.
Why do you like it? What do
Okay.
you like about it?
So I don't like the build and design, the whole leather thing. It's I don't know. It's kind
Really?
of played out. Like it's kind of played out by now.
Which is funny because it's brand new,
young.
essentially. It's
Yeah,
very young.
it's still pretty
It's
new, but
months old by now. Come on.
it is months old. But it's I don't know. I feel like it's kind of out of place on the tab lineup. Like I understand it being on the Note because the Note 3, the Note 10.1, and even the Note 12.2. But the Tab series has always been different. Like it should stay different, I think, and they're kind of blurring the lines there. But more of the reason why I don't like it,
Actually, I want to say word by word from my 10.1 review, the Moleskine metaphor doesn't hold up as well without the Note name.
Yeah.
I completely agree
Right.
with you. Yeah.
yeah, that, and it doesn't have an S Pen, so it's just kind of like, why? I don't understand it.
Would you prefer hyperglaze though?
No, not at all. But the point I was going to get to was I've had to compare it with the iPad Mini with Retina display and the Nexus 7, both of which I love. I love those designs. I love the hardware on those two tablets. And when you compare it with the Galaxy Note, or not the Galaxy Note, the Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4, it's a nice tablet. It just, in the hand, it doesn't feel like it's worth the price. And I think that's the big disparity there. It just doesn't feel like it's worth $400.
Yeah, Samsung's always had that problem with its tablet lineup.
So that's interesting to me because the hardware on the 10.1 is actually the thing that I like because I think it straddles the line nicely between lightweight and feeling like durable and without getting all slimy on the back like the old Hyperglaze did. So actually, I don't like the adoption of pleather where it doesn't really fit, but I like it better than Hyperglaze. So it's funny because the hardware is the high point for me on the 10.1 review. Now, what do you think of the software on the 8.4?
Yeah, there's the
and
love.
I think we're going to disagree here again. Well, I think we have the same takeaway that the software is improved, and that's a bonus, but it's also conflicted and confusing and kind of in between. It doesn't feel finished. But you said yours is laggy and it's just horrendous in performance.
I overuse the term train wreck, and this is not a train wreck, but it's like a beta. It's like a late stage beta where I feel like I should be taking notes on everything that's wrong and sending them to Samsung. And in fact, I did. And they were kind enough to give me some comments that I could put in my review, that some things they're working on. Yeah, there's way too much wrong with it for them to be selling it for $500 is my position. But on your 8.4, that's not the case.
No, it doesn't really lag or have any performance issues except for one place every single time. I can conjure lag on demand. And it
exactly a selling point there.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I can open an application, I can flip around through it, I can play games, I can use multi-window, I can do whatever I want, and it doesn't really lag. And then you hit the home button, it jumps home in an instant. If you disable S-Voice, the home button S-Voice thing, I hate that anyway.
Yeah.
But if you disable that, you go home, happens very quickly, and then you flip to the magazine UX, and it'll just stall for about maybe a half second. And then you flip to the second magazine UX page, or whatever you want to call it, it stalls again. And then after it loads, it is as fast as you can possibly want it to be.
Sure, it's that initial load where it's dumping whatever you were doing and it's picking up the load of the magazine UX. That makes sense. But the annoying thing for me was that the magazine UX doesn't automatically refresh.
Right.
So that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So you have this this entire section of the UI dedicated to bringing you the news and your social feeds, and it doesn't automatically refresh. Get this, even after a reboot. So when your tablet wakes up after you've turned it off on an airplane trip or something like that, and then it connects to the data network and it's like, oh, hey, what's up in the world? And it gives you our notifications. That magazine UX is going to look the same as it did 4 days ago or whenever the last time you refreshed it was. I don't know if you take 4-day airplane trips, but you know what I mean. 10 hours ago.
Can you tweak that in Flipboard settings maybe? I haven't even looked.
Good question, Taylor. When I tap on any of the settings icons on any of the magazine UX tiles, I get a spinning wheel of death for 2 minutes, and then it errors out with a Flipboard error. And
not even a useful Flipboard error.
No, just error Flipboard.
Yeah.
And then
let me get mine and see if mine does that.
Yeah, please go. And then I was like, after I run into all these things, and Stephen, you know how it is. It's like sometimes I get a box that has a device in it that maybe I'm thinking, all right, maybe when they took it out of the box at the PR firm to do whatever, maybe they just screwed something up in the software. So why not?
Somebody dropped it, like a pin loose on one of the capacitors somewhere.
See, then you can usually tell when it's a software issue like that. Because if I felt like it was like that, I would have asked for a separate unit. But as we've said before in this podcast, every time that happens, we're like, yeah, can you send us another one? And then the second one is just as bad as the first one, and then everyone ends up unhappy. Yeah. So I didn't feel like this was a bad hardware situation. I felt like maybe somebody screwed up something in the software. Let me just factory reset the thing. No. I factory reset, all the problems remain.
Sigh.
So, okay. But thankfully, Samsung was able to reply. I think a lot of the differences Taylor and I are running into is thanks to the fact that my tablet is landscape-oriented and his is portrait. My multi-window problem with Twitter and YouTube that I talk about in the review, Taylor does not have because he runs multi-window in portrait. And if because it's a portrait-oriented tablet, which apparently they didn't think of when they were changing it to landscape mode.
That's bizarre.
One column for Twitter and YouTube. Yeah. So, Taylor, do you have any luck accessing your Flipboard settings there?
It doesn't open settings if you hit the menu button on each of the tiles. It opens Discover More, and you can change what's in that specific tile.
Oh, okay.
So what I wanted to know is if you go into Flipboard settings, if it's actually open the Flipboard app, if you can change
If you can change the refresh rate?
Yeah.
I was wondering that myself, and I actually thought that's where Samsung was going to direct me when I asked them for comment. But what they ultimately said was they made that conscious decision to make all of the reloads manual to save on battery.
I was wondering if it would be battery or maybe just data or something they were concerned of. But that seems like a weird, specific thing. It sounds like, one guy in a focus group complained about it and they just ran with it. Because most people, I think, are going to worry more about having up-to-date, useful, entertaining info in there than...
Yeah.
I mean, everything on your tablet's killing the battery life little by little.
And the battery life is not a big deal on the 10.1. Like, it actually lasts a long time. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one thing. Like, I think if it did have an automatic refresh, I can understand how it would affect the battery life because the standby on this tablet is phenomenal.
Yeah.
But because overnight it would drop maybe 1 or 2% for me.
That's awesome.
But the thing is...
Do you have the Snapdragon 800 version or the Exynos?
Snapdragon.
Okay, see, I'm running the Exynos version, so there's
that's where But I think the biggest thing here is not that each one has not that they don't or automatically update, but that you have to manually refresh every single one.
Yeah.
If you had a single refresh button that would refresh everything, that'd be different.
Yeah.
But it's every single one. So on one page, I have to refresh 5 different things that take 2 or 3 seconds a piece to refresh.
Exactly. And that's the thing. They take 2 or 3 seconds a piece. So then they all update on their thing. Like in my review video, you can see me hit every one of the reload icons and then watch as the animations slowly catch up to what I'm doing. And that's not fun.
Are we sure this isn't a joke? That somehow HTC intercepted our communications with Samsung and have been impersonating them and sending us these horribly flawed tablets?
We're not sure.
No, you got that backwards. That would have been Samsung doing that to HTC.
So my question is what happened? And I didn't put this in the review because it's entirely speculative, and I just couldn't find a way to fit it in. But the whole thing feels to me like Samsung was halfway through building a really cool UX idea. They had this magazine idea. They were going to gradually open up the tiles to system hubs and stuff, and you could spend most of your time in the magazine UX. And at CES, Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong, that's kind of how this was positioned to us, right? Like the magazine UX is, well, you were sitting in the corner editing video the whole time.
Yes, you had me slaving away while you guys were actually playing.
Nobody puts Taylor in the corner. Come on.
Yeah. So, but that, and maybe this was just this mass hallucination, but I feel like we were not alone in assuming that the magazine UX was going to be able to do a whole lot more than it does. But all you can do is plug in a handful of Samsung built features like the gallery, the video player, and all the other stuff you never use. When like the onboard music player and stuff, all the stuff you replace with, Spotify and Netflix and so on. So we all thought that this thing was going to be really useful and that the legacy Android environment was just there for people who didn't like change. But in fact, you can't really do any solid work in the magazine UX at all. And even the thing it's designed to do, bring you news and social feeds, doesn't really work too well at that. So it feels like they were halfway to making this cool thing, and then they had that sit down with Google, and they basically just put a sticker on it, called it done, and shipped it out the way it was.
Yeah.
Does that sound reasonable, or am I just completely hallucinating?
I can get on board with that, but I don't know. I feel like that's the whole the feeling of the whole entire operating system right now, that it's kind of disjointed, and it looks half like Tizen, it looks half like this new magazine UX, and half like the old TouchWiz, and that just it's utterly confusing to even someone like me.
Yeah,
I found myself digging through settings, and I actually told you about this, Michael. I found myself digging through the settings to turn off the vibrate.
Oh, yeah.
Because we were having a conversation, and every 2 seconds it was... Yeah, Samsung's vibrate motor is 1 second long, and it's so annoying. The only way, I searched around in the settings for 5 minutes. Like, it has to be in here somewhere, until I remembered the only way to turn it off is to access it in the notification shade with the quick setting toggles. Or
the press and hold on the power button, yeah.
You can't get to volume, pressing volume down, and after...
Nope, it stops on vibrate.
It's a press and hold thing. But so... so we have all this stuff aside, but in spite of all this, Taylor, this is why it's interesting. In spite of all this, you like the 8.4.
I do, yeah.
So why is that again?
Because I like the size and the shape.
Okay. And you cannot demonstrate... the lag is controlled because you can only reproduce it in certain aspects, but otherwise it's fairly fluid.
Yeah, outside the home screen problem that it has, it's pretty fluid. Yeah, I think this size and shape is probably my ideal size and shape for a tablet. Like, I like the iPad Mini, but I don't necessarily like 4.3 for much of anything. Mm-hmm. This one, the display is 610 or 1610.
1610, yeah.
Yeah, and the tablet itself is 16.9. Because
did you do some millimeter math on that, on the casing?
Yeah, you just do
nice.
width divided by height, or
yeah.
Steven had see, when he was proofreading my review, Steven had to remind me that 8 to 5 is the same thing as 16 by 10.
Yeah, we don't always have to keep our fractions as small as possible.
Yeah, forget what you knew in high school. Yeah. But this thing, it feels natural in portrait or landscape, despite the physical navigation buttons, and I really like the size. It feels. The problem is the Nexus 7 feels cramped because the on-screen buttons. Mm-hmm. Because it's not much larger of a display than, say, the Galaxy Note 3 or Z Ultra. The display is a little bit bigger, but it feels similar in size. And this one just feels actually more like a tablet than the Nexus 7, if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but in my head it does. And it was better for gaming. It was better for music, videos, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad to hear that the 8.4 is get some high marks from you, because
you'll like one part I did in the video where I actually show how horrible putting speakers on the bottom edge is.
Oh yeah, because you drop it on the table and the sound just goes away, right?
No, holding it landscape while playing a video game.
Oh yeah, your hands blocked.
Like I'm playing, and I used my Samsung mic to record the audio.
Yeah,
and I'm playing, and it looks normal. It sounds pretty normal, and then I take one hand off the bottom edge of the tablet, and it's like 10 times louder.
Is this the Tab 8.4?
Yeah, this is in the review. Yeah,
cool.
We just hold it from the sides then. Right.
That's one of the nice things about the 10.1 is it has the left and right speaker ports, which are actually in a pretty convenient location. And it's not the loudest tablet ever, but it's pretty good. I mean, you could, assuming Netflix doesn't bug out on you like it did on my unit, you can get a nice, good old video watching experience out of that thing. So those are the new tabs. We don't have the 12.2 in-house. I don't know if we'll review that one. We will if we can get a hold of one. It would be nice to get a hold of the bigger notes, but
if we can get a wide-angle lens so we can actually film it.
Yeah, it is tough. It's really tough to film a tablet review just because of the sheer size of the thing. But yeah,
it's more than.
I should make it clear. What?
Oh, I was going to say it's more than just the size, because you have an expansive, either really bright or really dark color. And if you look through my videos for all of the 8.4 videos, either white balance is severely off, it's way overexposed, or it's way underexposed. And that's because trying to shoot a video of a giant white tablet is one of the most difficult things you can do, because if you're trying to show the front of the tablet off, and then you flip it around to the back, and the front is perfectly exposed, white balance is fine. You flip it around to the back, and it just blows everything out, and you have to start over.
Sun. Yeah,
it's so annoying. I hate reviewing white tablets.
Speaking of reviews, Taylor, for that After the Buzz review unit, do you want Verizon or AT&T? Or T-Mobile? Not Verizon.
T-Mobile.
Sorry. What am I asking you that for? AT&T, because the Verizon one has weird buttons.
Yeah, T-Mobile, because I'm not going to have AT&T for much longer, I don't think.
T-Mobile has weird buttons? What are you guys talking about?
The Verizon buttons on the back of the G2 are glossy.
I'm glad that wasn't a secret or anything. I'm glad.
I phrased that not wanting to.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen, for thinking of decorum. It actually legitimately is not a secret, but I just wanted to clear this up quickly because I got an email about it. Okay, we're doing it After the Buzz on the G2, listeners. Surprise announcement. You asked for it. You asked for it a lot, actually. We're going to do an ATB on it, so don't worry, it's not me. I know nobody likes what I think about the G2, so it's Taylor. Taylor, congratulations.
Thanks. It sucks, guys.
So that'll watch for that soon, yeah.
Hopefully this one doesn't wig out on me like the last one.
No, you're not going to have bad luck twice in a row. Hey, we kicked off our Android category sort of already, so let's actually do it officially, guys. Listeners, check out those reviews. They are both live as of tomorrow. Mine is up now. Taylor's will be up tomorrow. And, use them to determine what you want to spend your money on in terms of Android tablets. Certainly, there are many choices out there. Samsung's tablets cover many retail shelves. See if you should buy one. Go check out those reviews. Gentlemen, time for Android.
What's that?
Android?
Stephen, I think that you did not speak much before because you were not.
I don't have
something.
one of these tab pros here.
So why don't you tell us about this backdoor problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So everyone's really concerned about security nowadays. All this NSA business in the past year. We have the black phone coming out, so it's on everyone's mind. Mm-hmm. And one developer posted some news this week about what looks to be a backdoor that turned up in software on a number of Samsung Android devices. Now, this is an extension of a problem we've known about for a while, which is smartphones have basically two distinct processors. We have the application processor, which is one we talk about most of the time. This is the one that runs the OS. It runs our games, our apps. It's the one with all the cores that we care about. Then there's this little one, which is runs the modem. It's the baseband, they call it, which just controls the communications to and from the cellular tower. So this way, if something crashes in Android, it doesn't necessarily kill the very important part that's not going to mess up a phone network or anything. So these things normally stay distinct, except that the baseband has access to a lot of the system resources. So there was some code in the baseband that could be doing nefarious things. It could poke its head into your files. It could look at RAM, stuff going on the phone, and we over in Android land wouldn't really know what was going on. So this is not a new issue. The problem is that these Samsung devices, which includes Galaxy S, S2, S3, Note 2, and some of those old Nexus devices the company made, have the application that talks between Android and the baseband has these functions that look deliberately set up to allow the baseband to issue commands to read portions of the phone's file system. So in theory, Samsung could be having your carrier send commands to your phone. You wouldn't know that it got them. They would be able to read and write to and from apps, data you'd saved, and send them back to the carrier while you'd be none the wiser. Is anyone being spied on in this way? Probably not, but you wouldn't know about it. And it's the fact that Samsung put this in. The company seemed to went out of its way to put this ability in there rather than just being an afterthought of the baseband having all this system access.
So I like your question there. I mean, is this freak out time? And should we avoid Samsung phones, or are other OEMs doing this as well?
And it's a fair point that I've seen brought up that the company that pointed this out has its own free version of Android. I'm not sure exactly what the difference is. I think it's Android using libraries that don't have patents or licenses covering them. And so they have sort of an interest in kind of scaring people away from Samsung software and towards their own. I don't think it's scandalous like they're making this up, but this may be mountain out of a molehill type stuff.
Roger that. Well, I thought it would be prudent to include in the rundown because, as you said at the top, a lot of us are concerned about privacy these days, and we're going to try and look more deeply into that in the future. We're actually getting more listener mail about that kind of stuff, too, which is interesting.
Sounds like we need Joe.
We do. We need Joe, and we need another lawyer on the team. Of course, we all know that Tony's a lawyer, but he's not as well-versed in American law, obviously, because he doesn't live here. So, yeah. American lawyers, come on board.
Hey, I might have a guy.
Hey, that would be fun.
Sounds like a reality show.
American lawyers?
American lawyers.
Yeah. American lawyers. Lawyer up. And they all have to wear giant dinner plate belt buckles. And
Swamp lawyers.
Yeah. Ice Road lawyers. Let's talk about the HTC One, because the Anho, I feel like the working title for this podcast was Calm Before the Storm, because we're getting to a point where we're going to get to the run up to the announcement and some of these leaks. Like one of two things always happens: either everything goes completely silent and you don't hear anything because the company's in overdrive on leak containment, or like there have been so many leaks that there's no longer anything new to learn. So the faucet just completely dries up, and it looks like the latter is the case with the HTC One.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Jem Cattell.
Yes, right. The all new HTC One keeps leaking away, says Steven's headline. Specs, sales guide, subjects of the latest find. This is my favorite thing ever. So this is a sales guide from where? Do we know?
No, I'm not sure if this came from a carrier in specific or just a retailer.
Yeah, it's somebody with a retail presence because it is a sales guide with 2 columns. The first being a description of the new feature the M8 is bringing. The second being, how do I sell it? And this is so much fun. What's the first one, Stephen?
Let's see. There's so many of these. How do we keep them straight?
It's the precision crafted aluminum bit, which I just love. So go read that aloud for us, if you would.
The HTC One M8, and it's interesting they're still referring it to the M8 in here.
I thought the same.
Has been precision crafted from a single block of aluminum to achieve a smooth, zero-edge finish that wrap right around to the screen. Should we worry there are typos in this?
It's retail copy. I feel like no. I feel like that's just unavoidable.
The soft curves and sleek lines feel perfect in the palm of your hand as the brushed aluminum finish to the HTC One make it as beautiful to the eye as it is in the hand.
Yes.
This is inspired.
So beautiful. And I love the how do I sell it? Allow the customer to hold the phone. Get them to run their fingers around the edges to show them how
do I
smooth
sell it?
they are.
Show it to them.
Very descriptive.
Explain that the phone is more comfortable to hold due to the curved edges and fewer M's. What? Fewer EMS. I don't know what that is. That an actual term that I'm missing out on? Customers should be told the phone has been ergonomically designed to fit the palm of their hand. So that's lovely.
Having flashback to that horrible G-Flex commercial.
Oh, no. From last week. Whoa,
oh, God.
Horrible. So,
an M is a unit for measuring the width of printed matter equal to the height
M dash
of
versus
the type
N dash.
Type size being used.
Yeah. Well, that's not what it is here, but that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. No, we're not talking about that. So what else we got? We've got the intuitive. We've got they're calling out boom sound. They're calling out the new camera. We'll talk about in a second. Zoe is still here. Blink feed obviously still here. Control your TV, HTC Match, all that stuff. And we have a very exciting thing in this. I think this motion launch feature. Did you guys know about this beforehand?
No.
To answer a call on your HTC One, you can just place your ringing phone to your ear. No need to hunt for the answer button, only to realize you've accidentally hit the reject button.
I read that. I swear that someone did this already.
Yes, Samsung did it for what? Like there was a
Galaxy S2.
And on the S3, you could be, or was it the S3?
No, it was the S3. It was the S3.
Yeah, it was the S3. You could be in like a text conversation, and you could just put the phone up to your ear, and it would call them, which I thought was a really cool idea.
My friend, that's why he bought the Galaxy S3, and why he wanted the S4. Like he had the HTC One, and he hated it because he couldn't be in a text conversation and put the phone to his ear and make a call.
God, if you're doing that often, you don't deserve to have a cell phone.
Yeah,
I'm sure your friend is a nice guy, but I hate that is the number one way to piss me off. If we're having a text exchange and you just call me because you're fed up, forget it. Even if I'm available, I won't pick up the phone. And then I'll send you a really snarky text. I'm like, you see, that's not what we do.
This guy just buys into gimmicks, though.
Well, and that's okay.
Great friend.
No, that's
Great
cool.
Guy.
That's
Loves
cool.
gimmicks.
So do I love certain types of gimmicks as well. But this makes sense to me. I like. But Stephen, I know what you mean. There's someone else that did this that it's not the same Samsung shortcut. Yeah. It's like somebody else did this, and I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was LG with one of their humanitarian moves on the G2.
Speaking of LG, that first description up there really, really brought back some horrid memories of that ad from last week.
Wow. Way to necro Stephen's comment from 3 minutes ago.
Stroke out for a moment?
Yeah, what's the matter with you? Stop scrolling through Twitter or whatever you do when you're on the podcast. Would you pay attention for a second?
I am. What are you talking about?
Stephen said the same damn thing 3 minutes ago.
I never heard that, and I was paying attention.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe you.
Tommy gun.
I've been staring at this. What are you talking about? Am I lagging or something?
Steven,
is there a delay?
What a wonderful out-of-season Home Alone joke you just made.
It's never out of season for Home Alone.
Angels with filthy souls. All right, let's talk about the sales guide some more. Taylor, did you tell us about the camera, will you?
What about it?
Tell us about what it allows us to do on the.
The camera basically gives you sort of the same thing that you would get from Lytro, or what we've seen from Lytro, or that's at least what.
How though? It doesn't make any sense.
All right, so the way that I wrote an editorial about it a few months ago, basically saying that it captures maybe two different focus points at the same time with those two cameras, and the auxiliary camera basically allows you to refocus afterwards, but it's not the same thing. It's not capturing light field. It's actually capturing two focus points.
And they're calling the thing, they're branding it the HTC Duo camera in this sales guide. And HTC, perhaps hip to the fact that this might have been leaked early, is very coy. We still don't know the resolution of this primary camera.
Yeah, we do.
Do we?
If it's not 4 megapixels, I'm going to eat. Well, if I had a hat,
well, you think it's going to be? You think it's going to be 4 megapixels again?
Everything's pointing at that. We had a number of other optical characteristics of this thing leaked, aperture and whatnot. It's all lining up exactly with the ultra pixel from the One. So, I mean, Occam's razor.
Do you think they're going to have a front camera with a higher resolution than the rear camera?
Yeah, exactly. Because the FFC is 5 megapixels, according to this
wide angle beauty.
Yeah, and we're going to actually talk about that a little bit in listener mail too. Yeah, exactly, Taylor. If the primary camera has a lower resolution than the front-facing camera, like it doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter how non-focused on specs you are. That is LOL worthy, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Is there anything saying that, Stephen, based on the aperture info and all that kind of stuff, is there anything saying this couldn't be an 8 megapixel pure view?
Oh, no, absolutely
not. Ultra pixel.
No, but we just haven't seen any evidence to that effect.
Okay.
Yet.
Then they would really get sued by Nokia.
Yeah, again. But all right, so that's the sales guide. You guys can check it out, listeners, if you want to see it up close. I think that's really cool because it not only does it give you information about the features and products within the device, but it also tells you how HTC wants it positioned in the retail setting. So I think that's pretty cool stuff. That dual-purpose camera is also detailed in another leaked ad. This one we know where it came from. This is what looks like a newspaper circular from who is it? Telstra.
Partially upside down.
Yeah, it's an Australian outfit called Telstra, I believe, Telstra Mobile Network. This is a carrier, I guess.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe this is not a newspaper bit. I'm sorry. What did you say, Stephen?
I said, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you might have cleared that up for me. This is, whatever it is, this is some literature that's obviously meant for consumers showing us. This is the first time we saw the Duo branding for the camera, I think. HTC Sense 6.0 called out. Double tap the screen to turn on your phone. That's another one we missed. Wonderful. I love
stealing everything from LG here.
I was just going to say, I love in the comments how that just caused an explosion of outrage from a variety of camps because everyone thinks that a cool feature was invented by their OEM. But the LG guys got all butthurt about it. And then all of a sudden the Nokia people come in. They're like, yeah, hey, no, that was on them Lumias. And then all the old Symbian folks are like, yeah, Nokia put that on the N9 first. And then they get the occasional BlackBerry person who comes in and is like, yeah, well, the playbook, all you had to do is swipe the screen and wake it up. It's like, yeah. So don't worry about it, everybody. It's all right. It's all right. Everybody steals from everybody else, and it's cool.
All I have to do is talk to my phone for it to wake up.
Ooh.
Rub it in.
True enough.
Bam.
My Moto X is across the apartment, and I miss it.
Shout.
I do. Sometimes I lose the thing sometimes, and I'll just shout at my apartment, okay, Google now, and 20 feet away, it's like, boop. I'm like, oh, hey, buddy.
Have you asked it what's up yet?
I have asked it what's up. Isn't that fun?
What does it tell you?
And it's also
it tells you all the notifications. If you have if you wake up in the morning, that's the first thing you ask it. It'll talk for 2 minutes. It's like, hello, Michael. The time is 6:07 a.m. You have 20 Spotify notifications and 3 emails at pocketnow.com.
Why did your Moto X suddenly become an old, frail robot?
That's what the voice sounds like.
Hello, Michael.
Hello. The temperature outside is 45 degrees.
I realize that we're jumping ahead here. This is neither here nor there. But talking about iOS for a second, because I didn't report about this, and so we're going to just breeze right by it if I don't mention it now. But someone mentioned that apparently Siri has this built-in secret voice trigger where it will explain. So Apple made up a character history for Siri. So Siri's supposed to be, is it a person? Is it a robot? How did it end up with Apple? And there's some
like a horrible
query.
Portal story or something.
Yeah, there's something, if you say to Siri, it will tell you this, but no one knows what it is.
Are you serious?
It's a big secret, yeah.
Oh, I got to find that out. I'm going to load 7.1 on my iPhone 5C tonight and try and talk to Siri.
Start disassembling code like no one's business.
No,
this is what I'm going to do for the rest of the podcast. I'm just going to
read the dictionary to it.
Yeah. All right, so before we get further from the HTC One stuff, finally we have the story where it's spotted in Verizon livery. This was an eBay sale. I think Stephen, this was a dummy unit, right?
No. So there were two eBay sales going around. There's the one with this picture of the box that, as far as the listing is concerned, it seems like it's real. Then I saw there was another one that was using the pictures from the Nowhere Else leak. I don't know if it came where it started from, but it was the same pictures, and that person was clearly just selling one of these dummy units.
I see. Okay.
So it may be two distinct things here, but something was weird about that listing. It's an extremely low price for a
$500 buy it now price.
Yeah, no, here it says it's a never used in original package. All the specs. It could be fake. It could be a fake listing, sure, but
yeah. In any case, that piece is interesting, not just because we can now see what the Verizon branding looks like on the All New HTC One. Spoiler alert: it's big and annoying, but at least it's not on the front, right?
Yeah, at least it's on the back.
Exactly. That tramp stamp, though. Yeah, man.
But you know what?
You buy it now.
We always complain about that, but it blends in kind of nicely with that aluminum. Like at least they didn't make it like white. It's just
in some of the angles you can barely even see it.
Can we talk about these angles? Because that's why I want to talk about the photos in this. Are like this. This is the hottest phone I've seen in a long time. And I know we made fun of it. We spent ages making fun of that big old secondary eyeball up there, and it still looks weird. I wish it wasn't there. Oh. But they've like the widened radius corners, and I think they've increased the curve around back to where it's even more bowl-like.
It has less M's.
It has a lot of a camber. It has a big camber to it. It looks like a World War I airplane wing, and then you've got the nice trim around the front. Around the edges on the front. I think this thing looks gorgeous.
I agree.
I don't know. Man, I mean...
We agreed on something else.
Yeah, crazy.
I'm with you guys up until the trim. I don't like that look for the front.
You don't like the silver, the shiny trim around
I do
front?
not. I would prefer just one, if it was the same silvery gray right up to the edges there. The back looks beautiful, though.
Oh, it's just... Wow, it's pretty. So I really hope that it looks this good in person and so on.
I still can't get over Robert Pattinson on the home screen.
Yeah, I don't care about that guy. Purpose of dual cameras. Okay, so that's the all-new HTC One. Next week, we will doubtless have more leaks to share. Let's get off the HTC One in anticipation of spending a whole month talking about it on this podcast, huh?
Yeah, why don't I throw you a bone?
Hey! Oh! Yeah, dog fooding. Taylor, tell us what happened.
So... apparently, YouTube accidentally pushed out an update to Android users, or Google accidentally pushed out a YouTube update to Android users, and it either wasn't a final version or they forgot to change the beta or the internal logo.
Well, it was the dog food version, right, Steven?
Yeah.
Yeah. It had the dog food icon instead of the YouTube logo, and there were some settings inside that users normally shouldn't have access to.
Exocache and all that.
Yeah.
So I mean, somebody screwed up somewhere, and an unofficial or a not yet ready version of YouTube was pushed to users.
And so, it's since been fixed, right?
Yeah. So if you saw a dog bone in your YouTube app instead of the normal YouTube logo, there's a reason for that.
I forgot who tweeted about that. Like, I thought it was... I saw that kind of cross my Twitter feed, and I kind of wasn't interested in looking at the news, and then somebody posted like something I couldn't help but click on. It was like Amateur Hour in Mountain View or something like that, and I was like, what? Oh, so they've fixed it? Yeah? It's better now? Okay.
Yeah, mine never popped up, so...
Did you? Nah, me either.
I had to
download the APK.
That's what I did, just to do a screenshot of the icon.
Yeah. Okay, so that was fun and exciting for a second. Know, everybody makes mistakes. That Sony Xperia Z2 that everyone got excited about right after the Galaxy S5 was announced, and a bunch of people were disappointed about the Galaxy S5, so they were like, well, I guess I'm getting that Z2. You're going to have to wait for a bit, apparently.
Well, maybe.
Yeah. Second week of April? UK?
Yeah, well, they were saying March initially, and now, there have been a number of dates mentioned in April from retailers. Sony itself mentioned April when it did a Z2 launch in Indonesia. So if there is a delay, it doesn't sound very substantial, days, not months. Mm-hmm. So it should be here soon enough.
Well, good.
Can we talk about this picture?
It's so weird to me that let's talk about the picture, but it's so weird to me how, like, maybe it's because I didn't get any hands-on time with it because I wasn't at MVC, but I'm like, after all after how jazzy I was about the Z1S and the Z1, and the Z1 Compact, like, I should be more excited about this, but now that the HTC news is like polluting my vision with a device I think is truly beautiful, Sony, this Z2 looks quite beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it also looks exactly like the same shade of beautiful as last year's thing.
I'm just the opposite. At first, the Z2 seemed pointless to me. I figured, why is Sony doing this when it's so similar to the Z1 in so many respects? But as the weeks go on, I'm becoming more and more attracted to the Z2 as we learn about all these interesting features it has.
Yeah, well, not to mention the display that, finally makes up for years of crappy Sony displays.
That's a big one, yeah.
Yeah.
But that button... That stupid power button.
You don't like that side button, huh?
No.
I hate it.
Here's the thing. If it's that pronounced, I think I said this in the Z1 Compact review, if it's that pronounced, it should be a lot easier to click than it is. I feel like a lot of them are pretty mushy.
Ew.
And it should light up and do some cool stuff.
It should light up. Ooh, everything should light up.
That should be the notification LED. What if it's on the side? Like, it powers up in red on a power logo. Like, it'd be so cool.
Yes.
I can't do that, Michael.
Would it be cool? Like, what if it was a laser pointer, Taylor? Would that make you even happier?
Yeah.
It's like you press it in, and then a stylus pops out when you release it.
Yeah. And then you pull the stylus out, and that's where the laser comes out.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's like a mini lightsaber.
Yeah.
Pay attention,
exactly,
Sony.
We're giving you gold here, guys.
Why doesn't this exist, Sony? No, the reason I wanted to talk about it was that little dongle in the top.
Yeah.
That's a microphone, right?
The dongle up top.
Yeah, it's a stereo microphone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I just thought that was something laying next to it.
No, I thought it looks like the top of the Zoom.
Yeah, it's plugged into the headphone jack.
Oh, I just thought it was sitting there.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like it says Sony on it.
Recorders, yeah.
It does say Sony on it.
That looks hot. It just needs a not a pop filter, but a windscreen.
Yeah, dude, that looks cool. Oh, that would be fun to use as like an on-site mic for host segments in Vegas or something.
Yeah, I've already got that covered though. I got a camera adapter for my iPad, and now I can plug my Samsung microphone into my iPad.
Oh, that's
Winning.
Nice. Winning. Okay, cool. So yeah, fortunately those delays are not going to be too horrible. Then again,
I found it.
Steven found it.
That is the Sony STM10 microphone attachment.
Huh.
I don't see a price for it, but it's going to go up for sale. Yeah, it's going to go up for sale in March, or at least it was supposed to.
Hot.
That is hot.
Hot.
When I was in training for Best Buy, I had the trainer. We had to go to Raleigh to train. And if you said something she liked or talked about something she liked or said something about a phone she liked, her response was always, "Sot."
Sot.
Like, okay.
Oh. I've been having some dreams about like college recently, like my retail days. And that was a very unique environment, those training sessions.
I had a dream about Harold Ramis last night.
That's a very peculiar dream.
It is a weird dream. But I just wanted to mention I found a price for that guy. At least this is in the UK, but it works out to about $50 US.
That's it?
So it's not crazy expensive.
Oh, it sounds good. I wonder how it makes it sound.
There are some YouTube videos about it, so I'll listen to that later.
Time for a Google store, ladies and gentlemen. Brick and mortar, place you can go to get Google products. Is it time, Stephen?
Probably not, is my guess, but maybe.
What's the deal here?
There's a rumor going around the New York real estate community that Google's been negotiating for this store space in Soho. It's literally right down the street from an Apple store there. It's a big enough location. I just think it seems like a weird place for Google to be putting its first ever retail store, because it's not, I mean, yes, it's in Manhattan, but I would assume like Times Square or something a little more high profile than this, tucked away down by NYC. And that Google's been saying forever now that we're not going to do this.
I feel like Charlotte would be a really good candidate.
Listen up, Google.
It's cheaper. So what are they going to sell here? Obviously Chromebooks, because that's their
Google
big thing
Glass,
now.
I mean, we were talking about this last year. Google Glass seemed like the reason behind doing this. And it's
Google
closer than
Glass.
ever now to hitting, normal retail sales.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're going to offer Google Glass for sale, a boutique store in a really high-end part of New York City you could do worse than that. Like, it's a pretty good idea.
But we're also expecting the price to come down a lot. It shouldn't be $1,500 when it
launches. I agree with you. But if it is, like, for whatever reason, that's what has been handed down to you from the overlords at Google. Like,
Okay.
no, you're going to charge $1.5K for this thing. All right, well, then we're going to open up a store in, like, the part of the richest city in America
Hollywood.
that has the highest disposable income. No, because I feel like
I can follow that, yeah.
New York is also, in addition, Taylor, I see what you're saying with Hollywood.
Silicon Valley.
But those places are not the center of the American media empire.
I know.
And New York is, it's like, hey.
All I'm saying is, why would they be building a store or moving to build a store right now when they haven't even really announced anything for Google Glass?
And, maybe that points to...
Yeah, so
to
I'm
not
thinking
being glass related.
It could
when
be.
is that going to be available?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I was actually talking to Jason Cipriani this morning about it, and if I had the money, I would have Google Glass right now, but I don't, so I don't have it. But
I still have never put one of those on my head. I feel so left out.
I haven't either.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be like that Star Trek episode where Wesley and Winona Judd...
and Robin Leffler? Yeah, they come on back and everybody's addicted to the game.
Exactly. That's what it is, Mike.
I'm on level 47. Yeah, totally. That's what Google Glass needs. Ashley Judd, yeah. That's what Google Glass needs. It needs something to stimulate the endorphin production centers of my brain.
Oh my God,
only
if I could
Wesley
play
Crusher
threes.
can come back.
If I could play threes on Google Glass, I would buy it right now.
Nah, I didn't get into that. I did get into Out There. That's my mobile game, my hot mobile game of choice right now.
Mine is threes and
No,
Road Rage.
I am lying. That was my last week's thing. You know what I did on Sunday, dudes? I went to an old school arcade with like cabinet arcade games.
Do they have barcades up in Boston?
Like
Those are the
Dave
best.
and Buster's and Jillian's and stuff?
No, just like a dive bar, but packed with 80s arcade games.
No. This place was packed with 80s arcade games, but it was also packed with kids, so like they couldn't be like a bar.
Ew.
Yeah, well, it was, But I got to play like Tetris in the old school cabinet, and I'm like, wow, this is really hard. Like, we're all playing Tetris on our like app versions, and they're way easier. You get on like an old cabinet game from about 30 years ago of Tetris, it's not playing around. It wants your money, and it wants you to lose real hard. And it's easy to do that. So anyway, the point is I've been playing Tetris a lot on my Moto X recently. There.
Good.
The
Good for you.
news of the week. That's it. 1+1, tell us about it.
These OnePlus guys have been slowly letting out a lot of info on the hardware for this. This is going to be the Cyanogen mod running phone. OnePlus is the partner Cyanogen mod found. It's founded by ex-Oppo guys. And they've been releasing piecemeal all these details. First, they talked about the processor and a little bit about the display. And see, this week, this one they were talking about doing some Moto X style voice commands, which we've been waiting to see on a lot more phones because it's supposed to be something that's built into the Snapdragon 800 and its successors, where they have this DSP core similar to Moto X doesn't run the Snapdragon 800, but it still has a DSP that it uses for this.
Yeah,
and
the X8.
Right. And the problem's been that OEMs just haven't been doing the same thing with the 800, and that the dev community hasn't been able to do it for them because Qualcomm's been withholding all the APIs and system calls and whatnot needed to make this happen. But it sounds like OnePlus is finally going to be the company to do this, and this special version of CyanogenMod that the OnePlus One runs will allow at least wake up from sleep, because they're running a poll right now letting users choose the command. So it doesn't sound like you'll be able to set it. You will be able to train it to recognize your voice, but it'll be, one thing set, whether that's, OK, OnePlus One, or if you follow the link in the rundown, you can get to their forums and vote for it yourself. But
you know who else is doing fun stuff with voice command? ZTE.
Oh. They are doing some things, but I loved how they pitched it to us at CES.
I don't remember how they pitched it to us. I just remember being really enamored with the fact that you could train the phone to wake up at any command you wanted.
That's
you can, but they
speaking of Star Trek stuff, Steven, I was sitting there in the press room, totally geeking out and saying, Picard 47 Alpha Tango to unlock the thing.
as I literally physically facepalmed in front of all of ZTE.
Yeah. But I always do a little side eye when I do that, when I nerd out in front of tech people, and there's usually about a 20 to 30% return rate where it's somebody a little glint will appear in their eye, and the product manager will be I see what he's doing.
This guy.
I also saw that episode, fellow Trekkie.
He's secretly hoping Will Wheaton will just pop out of the corner out of nowhere and be like, "Hey guys." It doesn't
Has anybody seen my mom around? So anyway, the point in all that is just to drop a little ZTE mention into the podcast and just remember fondly our brief time with the Nubia 5.
Is this a nudge
5S.
to one of our friends on Twitter?
I don't know what you mean. I don't
either, but I will say to no one in particular that I'm still waiting on that Nubia 5S.
Well, while we let that marinate, why don't we employ a sound effect to transition us to Windows news. Good job, team. Nice transition. Microsoft is doing a little business change, but before we get to that, I want to share a piece of fun news.
No.
Oh, no.
No, if you have to.
Okay, thank you. Despite having run into a very annoying FedEx difficulty where FedEx lost our package, we're getting a Lumia 2520 again.
Yay. Oh, yay.
Yeah.
It's not being sent to me, is it?
No, it's not. It is coming my way, and this time we should be able to play with with an accessory for it. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and when we get that in, I will be sure to let everyone know by posting a video on youtube.com. If you're familiar with that website, please go to it. Yes.
What? Is there an HTTP before that, or a www?
HTTPS.
I think it's Gopher nowadays.
Yeah, .xml. That's what we do.
Okay. All right. That makes more sense.
So stay tuned for that. Microsoft is killing Windows Phone 8 licensing fees. Speaking of OEMs building Windows Phone stuff, what's the story here? I'm excited to hear this.
Yeah, basically everything that we heard about what would be changing with OEMs and how Microsoft makes Windows Phone available to them from last fall is now actually coming true. So back at MWC, we heard about all these new OEMs that Microsoft has brought on board. Some new, some old, LG getting back in the mix, and also these new companies in Asia, a bunch of them. And now we're hearing that, for instance, Huawei, was Huawei the first, or was it someone else?
Huawei and ZTE?
Huawei and one of these Indian guys, Kandar? Are making dual boot Windows, Android devices.
Carbon.
That's much easier.
You got to be careful when you're saying that, too.
Making it difficult in my head.
Sounds like something else.
Yeah.
But we heard last fall that Microsoft might be seriously thinking about dialing down the licensing fees it charges OEMs to put Windows Phone on their handsets, and that is reportedly true, that it's not charging Carbon or Lava at all for making Windows Phone handsets. So as a result of this, they can pass the savings on to consumers and hopefully deliver phones that are going to compete with 520 level prices.
Pass on the savings on to you.
Ideally.
Mm-hmm. Well, we like that.
Yeah, this is Microsoft trying to build up its user base to hit a lot of these new, developing markets that are where a lot of smartphone companies are seeing their greatest growth right now. These are untouched markets in many ways. Mm-hmm. So if Microsoft can, even if it's not making money getting phones into these people's hands, it still brings them on board its ecosystem. Maybe they'll buy a more expensive Microsoft device next time around. It gets them into the fold.
Unleash the Phones has really been killing it these days with leaks, particularly leaks about Windows Phone 8.1. But because there's no real narration in their videos, which is it's fine. It's like it's a cool bare bones way to just show like a bunch of features from 8.1. We have this music, and it's not that music. That's just their intro music. But like it's this music that's pretty exciting, and it kind of gets like a little more intense as time goes on until like you got some bells in there, and then we got a little bit more of an aggressive guitar, which I dig. Some little drum machine there, which is always important to have for flavor.
Some sweet funk here.
Until like
this is like pure moods 4.
Yeah. Until you feel at some point like someone's going to come in and it's going to be a sultry female voice asking, "Are you guys having problems with your phone?" And then it's going to become a whole different kind of video.
Did anybody order pizza here?
And then the mood of the music changes.
It does indeed. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to say that after watching this video, that music was in my head for, probably 25 minutes. And it gave me a bunch of...
My chest hair grew. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah? So this is a rather kind of an unremarkable change to the viewfinder software. We're given more options. The viewfinder software is better. But the thing is, this is the stock Windows Phone viewfinder. And I think for all Windows phones of note, which are by default Nokia devices, you're pretty much using Nokia camera all the time. And that is way better than the stock shooter. So... Yeah. I think this is going to be cool, though, considering what we just talked about. If Windows Phone does start to see a pronounced presence in on devices which are low cost and which are going to be using this default shooter, it's nice to know that even those low end units are going to have some pretty powerful like features here, which is pretty nice. Right?
Even if they don't get a shutter button anymore.
Yeah, that is super sad. By the way, I don't like that. That's sad news.
Every phone ever should have a shutter button. Every single one.
I agree. Even the Moto X, which I like using the double wrist twist to launch the camera. I actually find that pretty handy. It's while you're shooting that you want to be able to half press to focus when you're like in close, or when you want to have the camera ready to go, so that the instant you press the button, it takes the shot. Doesn't quite always happen when you don't have a button. So.
Lame.
Yeah.
That was the problem with the Boost Max. It had a camera shutter button, but it wasn't a two-step button.
Yeah. And then if you build one in, make sure it can do everything it should, because that Sony, the Z1S and the Z1 Compact really loved the hardware camera button on there, but it didn't always launch the camera. Like there was a software bug and it wouldn't always launch the camera when from standby, which was annoying. That Lumia 2520 I mentioned before is going to lose half of its color options if things continue going the way they look.
Well,
which is sad, right? We don't have proof of this. It's just that Nokia removed some of those options from its product info page, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if we can call it losing them, because we never really had them in the first place.
True
but it was supposed to arrive in 4 colors. Up to now, I believe only 2 have shown up. I don't not see any proof, at least, that the white and the cyan have gone up for sale anywhere. And now Nokia's... It's weird. It removed them from the page that shows you the specifics on the device. So the breakdown of dimensions and all that, and shows you all the color options. But on the main page for the 2520, Nokia is still showing this white and cyan one. So maybe they're going to come out at some point in the future. I mean, Nokia can't wait forever. Well, we can still care about this thing, but
you
might be stuck with...
I think that a carrier is going to come out and get an exclusive on one of these colors, and I think that's why they pulled some of that. I think AT&T is going to come out
now, though.
Probably, because I doubt the 2520 has been seeing a lot of uptake. Not because it's a bad tablet, but because it just really hasn't been pushed all that aggressively.
Oh, and that power keyboard thing just came out recently.
Boomtown.
So that makes it a lot more attractive.
Boomtime, excellent. I think that's what we're looking at. I think we're going to see a renewed push with maybe a price reduction or a bundled price offering from AT&T with the cyan option available as an exclusive.
I'm just noticing pulling this up, this is a story we had before the 2520 even launched. We thought we were going to get green and yellow options as well. That would have been neat.
Jeez. I mean, the yellow makes sense to match with the Lumia 2520. Can you imagine like carting around like an Ecto Cooler green tablet?
It looks like a giant Nokia X now.
Yeah. Woof. No.
This is the sound of me shaking my head.
Yeah.
Alienware tablet or something.
Ew, that would be fun. Dell, what can you do for us? Hey, what do you think about talking about the Apple iPhone?
They still make an iPhone?
That was the worst segue I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even have to crush it.
No. This is opposite day. You're enabling transitions and I'm ruining them.
Yes, I threw you a bone.
We did. Thank you. A dog food bone. A YouTube dog food bone. We want to talk about, or I want to talk about the missing airliner, but we can't. Wouldn't that be cool? But we can't. We can't talk about that on our podcast because it's not really related to mobile technology. But it just hit me in the face as I was getting out of podcast mode very briefly to check my email to see if Jaime Rivera would join us for iOS. He is not going to do that.
Oh.
Sad face. So we will have to soldier on without him, and as such, we will do that usual thing that we do when there's not a new iPhone or iPad on the horizon, and basically just blast through this news because none of this is really terribly major, is it?
CarPlay seems pretty cool.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Not amazing. Here's the thing. My roommate just got a job at Apple. He told them half-heartedly what I said about CarPlay, and they lambasted him over my not full understanding of CarPlay.
They lambasted. Did they take him into the basement of the Apple store and take him into the lambasting room?
Yes.
They made him watch 17 Apple documentaries.
No, they made him clap customers into the store all day.
That's right.
Cheer them in. He was the hype man. Basically, I wrote an editorial about it last week saying that it looks really cool, but Google's, I can't even remember what they call it, Open Automotive Alliance, I think is what it's called. Yeah, so Google has that. Audi has created the Audi
car.
Yeah, they call it something like Smart Display, I believe it's what it's called. But it works with anything. It's device agnostic. This one requires an iPhone to use. And I said that in the article, and someone corrected me, dropping in a link of another video. It works as it should without an iPod or an iPhone. Doesn't work with iPods. Without an iPhone, you just don't get all of the features like your contacts, you don't get maps, and all of those other iOS-centric features, but you still have a stereo. So the argument I made against CarPlay was that you have to choose your phone based on what car you have. But that's not the case. So I have to recant that statement.
You know, it's funny. I tried to click the link to see if I could see what the hell you were talking about. And then do you know what I discovered?
No.
It's not in the rundown. So why don't we move on?
I hate you.
Hey, cars
it wasn't in the rundown.
Troublemaker.
Get out of my face. Apple releases iOS 7.1 to compatible devices.
Yeah. The reason I mentioned that is because I opened that link and it was a car. It was CarPlay.
Okay. Now, I actually am curious, Taylor. Have you installed this on your iPhone?
I have.
And what do you think so far?
It looks the same.
Well, Jaime was saying on the Daily that it actually corrects a lot of issues he was having on his 5S. Are you finding the same?
I didn't really have any issues, and I haven't really looked into what is different.
It broke that cool folder trick you could do.
Yeah, there was like nested folders that you could take advantage of an iOS bug to do folders within folders. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
And then iOS 7.1 comes along and is like, no, you're not having any more of that fun.
I'd like to have folders within folders. Why can't I have a directory of folders? It does change a few things, and so the comparison video I did with the Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4, I didn't get to update the iPad before shooting the video, but I did update the tablet after and did some testing before I recorded the audio. So it was accurate. Everything I said was accurate, and it was all displayed properly, but people noticed that I didn't upgrade to 7.1 before.
Oh.
And they were like, this is wrong. You don't have to lie to us. And I'm like, no, I just had no internet. Please don't get me started because I haven't had internet all week.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I have, just not in my office.
Are you okay?
Yeah. Do you need us to send help?
Yeah, please.
Care package of internet.
What else is in the... that'd be awesome if you could send just like physical internet around. Just like, here, take 2 gigs. Happy Christmas.
That would be nice.
Stephen, tell us what else is like actually in the changelog here.
Oh, we've been hearing about a lot of stuff, little by little. One thing I heard about last night was this new iBeacon functionality that at first seemed more interesting than it ended up being. So iBeacon, you guys might remember, introduced with iOS 7, uses these Bluetooth transmitters. What was that noise? Was that me?
That was my 5C mail annunciator going off because I just turned it on for the first time in a month.
Yeah, iBeacon, it came out last year. You can, these iBeacons are installed in physical real-world locations. When you go near one with your iPhone, it can get information about like sales from retailers. It can basically do anything with it. It's just a platform for letting your phone know that these ID things are here. It's like a long-range version of NFC.
Oh, yeah.
And it used to be that if you closed down an app that was scanning for iBeacons, you closed it down and you reboot your phone. At first I thought it wouldn't pick them up altogether. Then it turns out, yes, it would, but it would take a very, very long time. iOS 7 just wasn't very good at detecting iBeacons in the background. iOS 7.1 fixes that. They now show up lickety-split, even when the app's not actively running. So hopefully this will encourage people to start putting them in more places, which will then make us start caring about them a little more.
Just like it happened with Samsung Tactiles, right?
Okay, maybe
Wait, 1 or 2?
Take that
Tactiles,
back.
Tactiles 1 or 2?
Good question. Yes. Either, in fact. I found it actually a good use for my NFC tags recently. I haven't actually implemented it yet, but there's an alarm clock app that I've recently become turned on to. It's actually built into a sleep tracking app in general.
So you need an alarm clock app? It's built into the platform.
Right. But get a load of this. This is part of a whole sleep tracking suite called Sleep as Android, which is a very popular app that I'm not allowed to write about because apparently none of our readers would ever read about it. By the way, listeners, if you disagree with that, shoot an email, podcast@pocketnow.com.
It sounds horrible.
No, so what, sleeping as an Android? It sounds terrifying. No, but
no, not that, just the name of the apps.
The name is a really annoying name. But the thing is, not only does this app offer some cool stuff like sound-activated voice recording, so you can record yourself speaking in your sleep. You can also record yourself snoring. You can link it. Yeah, you can link it to your Pebble, and your Pebble can track your movements over the night, like a Fitbit does or whatever. So you can tell when you're getting good sleep and not. I tell you, it is creepy in the morning. The first thing I do is like roll over and listen to recordings of myself snoring. And it's not so much the snoring that's creepy, it's the fact that I'm listening to things that have happened around my body when my body was completely vulnerable to attack. You know? It's just crazy. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
The design of this app and the icon make me want to wipe it off the face of the earth.
That is because you are a bad person. But listen more to the good people. I don't know what that means. Listen, here's my point.
I think we're all suffering from strokes today.
I think we are. I think you're right. So the thing is, the coolest thing about it is when you set an alarm, you can have the app prompt you for a CAPTCHA so that you're not just kind of lazily hitting a button. So you have to do like complicated math problems to get the alarm to turn off. Or if that doesn't work, you can set it to recognize an NFC tag. So you can put an NFC tag across your house, and the only way it's going to turn off the alarm is if you go and walk over like across your house and tap the phone to the NFC tag, which is a smart as hell idea, I think.
It is. Because I use Timely, and it does math problems, but the math problems are so easy.
Really? You can set the difficulty in Sleep as Android. Like I can do, it's like 17 times 5 minus 4 plus 20. Like it's those kind of things.
Yeah, this one is like, it'll make you think for a split second when you're just rolling out of a slumber.
It's like above the curve.
Well, it's mainly like addition and subtraction, but it'll be something like 89 minus 42, so you have to like think for a second, but it's so easy to just be like, it's this one. No, it's not. It's that one. And got it right. Back to sleep.
Yeah. That's why this app does it really a lot better. Like you can type in, you can set it so that it'll require a typed response, like instead of multiple choice. But of course, what is the one shortcoming of the whole thing?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yes.
I should not laugh at that, but that's hilarious.
That is the one shortcoming. No, the one shortcoming, if you are determined to go back to sleep and you don't want to play the game of the app, even if you have a phone with an encapsulated battery like the Moto X,
just turn it off.
All you got to do is turn that thing off. Yeah.
You guys just need better self-control over your sleep habits here.
Shut up, Steven. It may be true, but that doesn't mean you have to say it.
No, don't get me wrong. I snooze for an hour. I'm just comfortable with that.
Yeah.
You're such a try-hard.
Every time you say that term on the podcast, I've forgotten it exists since the last time, and then I'm like, I'm going to take that.
Yeah, I love it. I love using it.
It's a good one. Apple is dropping back to. We are talking about Apple, unbelievably. We are still in that section. We are talking about the return policy having been dropped. It used to be you could buy an iPhone. If you don't like it after 29 days, you go ahead and send that back. That's fine. No longer, unless you live in California. 30 days to 14 days. Most of the people in the comments are just hating all over this. They're like, whatever, 2 weeks should be enough. It's like, okay, I mean, I get it.
Oh, that's what everybody else has done. That's what most carriers do now. It's 14 days. And it used to be 30, now it's 14.
And that's what's so disappointing because I like it when companies stand out from one another and they say, nope, we are going to provide this level of service, and it doesn't matter if you think it's excessive, it helps us stand out, and we think it's friendly to the customers. I hate it when companies are then like, hey, that thing we were doing that was really cool, now we're not going to do that anymore. We're just like everyone else now. I think that's lame.
I think that's Tim Cook at work. I think that is his number pushing, trying to make things better. I think it is.
I just wonder who was happy with their iPhone for 2 weeks and then decided that, who is this change of policy impacting? Who is actually doing this?
Right. I wonder that too. Who's sitting there and like 25 days later is like, well, but that's
not for me.
Right. But that's the point. I think this change of policy will not save the company much money because there are not many.
Get a bad press.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a bad press generator. And then it is a missed opportunity to make a lasting impression at the sales counter. I used to love doing that. When I don't remember if it was Nextel or Sprint, but whoever it was, at whatever point in my wireless career it was, we had a 30-day return policy for a while. And people would like eyebrows would go up. They're like, wow, really? And with a carrier, it makes a little more sense, right? Because you're like, wow, I'm planning this trip at the end of the month to go see my grandma. I wonder if we have coverage up there. This is a great opportunity to try that. But then we shifted to 14 days, and everyone was like, oh, okay, so, whatever.
That's one of the very few redeeming features of shopping at Best Buy or Factors.
Yeah, there's always a 30-day return exchange?
Well, no. For electronics, it's 14. For other things like accessories and stuff, it's 30. But if you shop there a lot and you have Reward Zone, this is not an ad for Best Buy, by the way. I buy from Amazon. If you
this is also not an ad for Amazon, but
yeah, not an ad for Amazon either, unless they want to sponsor us. If you have enough points through your reward zone, you become a silver member or gold. I can't remember, but you have 45 days to return certain items.
Ooh, 45 days.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not going to stop until we get a year-long return exchange policy.
I am still considering sending back my Nexus 5 now that the new model's out. It's been 4 months by now, but it's got a year-long warranty, and there isn't.
Send that back. You show them those two small machined holes on the bottom and the.
It's the SIM tray that bothers me.
Show them the total lack of red on the back cover and say this is unacceptable.
How dare you, sir?
All right, finally, let's get to the last leak of the show. The much ballyhooed iPhone phablet. Everyone says every year iPhone's going to make a big screen. And every year they don't do it.
But they probably are going to this year.
Maybe they will this year. And
maybe.
Yeah, probably.
They're going to call the original, the normal-sized iPhone the iPhone Air, And this one will be the iPhone Pro, right?
Yeah, this will be the... Yeah, right. Exactly.
Or this one will be the iPhone Pro, and the other one will be the iPhone Mini with Retina display.
All this talk about the iPhone reminds me of some contacts I've had with Mophie recently. We were trying to... Jaime's got a big hard-on for this, Mophie space pack, I guess. One of these new products that is a cradle for the phone. And yeah, no, that's what it is. It's not only a battery replenishment pack for the iPhone. It's like a Wi-Fi. No, it's a storage thing. So you plug your iPhone into it, and you get external storage in addition to more battery, which makes all the sense in the world. It sounds exactly like the kind of top-notch product that Mophie would make. So Jaime's like, hey, man, see if you can get us one of these for review. I'm like, okay. So I reach out to Mophie's press inbox, and no response. And then I look back, and I found out that Mophie has never gotten back to us about anything I've ever reached out to them for, ever.
Do we have the right email address?
We do. And so that's the way my brain went. So I went on Twitter, and I'm like, hey, Mophie's Twitter account. Is press@mophie.com still the best way to reach you? These guys don't even write me back. All they do is favorite my tweet. I'm like, all right, guys, no problem. We'll find one from somewhere else. I understand you don't want to give us the time of day. That's fine. You're Mophie after all. So okay,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was funny. Yes or no question. Fave.
That's so passive aggressive,
isn't it? It's what a crap move. Okay, iPhone 6 phablet. Tell us about it, Steven. Is this thing going to be cool or lame sauce, and why?
No, I'm not familiar with this one.
Looks like a big stick of bubble gum.
Yeah. Okay.
With
so
some
it
weird
looks
lines on it.
Yeah.
Even though the iPhone 5C has not been much of a big success for Apple this year or the end of last year, according to this source, the iPhone 6 phablet-sized version might take some inspiration from this guy. It wouldn't be plasticky, but it would, it had the same design, stylish-wise. It might resemble the 5C. I don't think this is going to mean those weird jelly whole cases anymore, but
yeah, I just put mine back on the 5C. The croc case. Like, ugh, it's this is the kind of thing that looks really good in a render.
Yeah, they're pretty. I can't imagine it feels very nice.
And it actually feels nice, but then you turn the phone around, and all of a sudden your previously good-looking phone now has a giant fender around it, like it's like you're bringing it on the boat, and you want to toss it around, and it's just yeah.
The back of the iPhone 5C makes me think of those. I don't even know what they're called really, but the floating key fobs.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That's what it makes me think of.
Well, in this render, it actually looks kind of good because this render has a sharp edge on this big ol' iPhone, this proposed big ol' iPhone, which is kind of nice.
Nice enough.
Yeah. And
it'd look nicer if it was matte.
Now, one of the important things is that this is not. You said it's not going to be polycarbonate, right?
Yeah, this thing would be anodized aluminum.
Which would be really cool if this thing came in colored metal, a la the HTC One, rather than
a la an older HTC device too. What was that?
What, a colored metal older HTC device?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 1S.
The 1S was metal?
Yeah, it had metal pieces to it. It had colored, it wasn't completely colored, but it did have colored pieces, I think. I don't know. I don't know things.
Cool.
The little red around the lens and all.
That stuff. Good. Yeah, well, that was on the DNA and the butterfly, too. That was fun.
Yeah.
Ugh. Wow. The iOS section sapped all the life out of me. Yeah, I didn't think you were right about that. Guys, I want to get to hear from our listeners. What do you think about that?
You're struggling so much to just put out sentences today. We both are.
You know what?
I like to hear from readers.
Do you know what sucks? I'm looking at the listener mail section. First of all, let's just bong it. Hey, it's time for listener mail. There it goes. I'm looking at this thing, and the third email that I tried to paste in, I only got the first sentence. So this third email is just a mystery email. It's like, hi, guys. I'm an avid listener and an all-time fan of the show and all the rest of Pocketnow's output.
We agree.
Period.
Thanks, no-named guy.
Thanks. Damn it, now I have to go find that one. Okay.
I love that question.
Well, it's a great question. It's our best question ever. Why don't you read one of these aloud, Stephen? You're right. I have to stop with the sentences soon. So let's get through this.
We have a letter here from Jonathan Michael, who writes in saying, "Hello, Pocketnow team. I'd like to ask something on your thoughts about front-facing cameras. In my case, I'm still hating front-facing cameras on all smartphones. The iPhone 5S takes fantastic photos with the rear camera, but the front camera makes my face all washed out. I was blown away by the level of detail with Lumia 1020's 38-megapixel DNG RAW output. Unfortunately, all of these phones take horrible selfies. The people addicted to Instagram selfies in the morning are a bunch of conceited narcissists." Good instincts there. Good front-facing cameras do serve a purpose, too. I do understand that rear cameras are more important, but Skype calls, hangouts with my coworkers on the go are also things that are important. Some job interviews are done online, so because of all these reasons, do you think OEMs will soon show some innovation to front cameras, like maybe adding OIS and increasing the aperture? Also, to all the phones you have reviewed and used, what is your favorite front-facing camera?
So this is a cool question, and this was from Jonathan Michael, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Manila, Philippines.
This is really, really cool. Oh, what's the PS? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, yeah. Is there a petition to ban 10-inch tablets on concerts? I will be all for it. Michael will lead that up.
Totally know what you're talking about, Jonathan. Anytime anybody holds up a tablet at a concert, I want to start a mosh pit on their head. Anyway,
as to his question, I think we already are seeing a lot of this. The all new one we're talking about with that 5-megapixel wide-angle front facer. It's not, OIS, and I don't know what the aperture looks like, but that's a step in the right direction.
Dang straight. And, HTC has been the pioneer on this. I think HTC's the first one was the first time any company did a wide-angle front facer. And yeah. It makes all the sense in the world. I'll jump ahead to the answer, but that's my favorite phone to take selfies with, especially when I'm with a group, because you can capture so much of the frame around you. It's just great.
Yeah, I've never used the phone, but I will say my favorite front-facing camera on any phone is the Oppo N1.
I knew you were going to say it. Of course.
Really?
It's a cheating answer.
It's a turnaround one. Yeah.
Because it's 13 megapixels? Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
doesn't count.
Which is rad. But is it?
How does that not count?
Is it wide angle though?
I don't know.
Because
it's the primary camera.
Yeah, but that's
it's
great.
Front facing. If you
that's the way they should all be. That's the way they should all be built. It is. That makes so much sense. So that's my answer to the HTC One. Do you guys have a different answer for your front facing camera favorites?
Yeah, it would be. I mean, I would say this as a technicality, but if I were to have a real answer, it would probably be the One, just for having a wide angle. But if I really want to answer the question with my own true thoughts, all front-facing cameras suck.
Yes, I'm totally with
you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I do not
because, I won't take front-facing pictures or selfies because they're low res and they look like crap. And I have a larger problem with washing out because I am ghastly.
Casper.
Yeah, there is a reason people call me Casper.
Yeah, I have yet to find a front-facing camera that I am even close to satisfied with. They are just noisy as hell. I can be standing a foot away from a light bulb, and I'm still not illuminated well enough to eliminate all this awful noise interfering with the picture.
I'll never forget the worst front-facing camera I ever used. Since I started, not ever, but since I started at Pocketnow, I was reviewing the Nokia Lumia 810, I think, and it was a big. It was either the 810 or the 822. It was one of the 820 variants, and I had just reviewed one of its siblings, and I'm like taking this selfie with my girlfriend and my roommate, and I'm like, okay, this will be just like the other one I used, and I look, and this is like the noisiest, like things that are supposed to be yellow are blue. There's so much noise in the shot that it looks like an active static wash has been put over everything. I can't even recognize myself, and I realized
looks like a watercolor.
Yeah, it does, or like an oil painting. And I look at the specs, and I found out that that's like the one difference between this 8XX model and its 8XX siblings was that they had made the front-facing shooter like a VGA shooter instead of even a 1.3 megapixel one, and it was like,
And Can that resolution never exist again?
Yeah, it would be nice. So, John, Stephen?
But speaking of resolution, HTC may be making some of the most visible improvements in the West, at least, with these wide-angle lenses and now the higher res on the All New One. But some of the Asian OEMs have been doing front-facing cameras that match the resolution of their rear cameras for at least a year or so now. I think going back to last spring, there were talk of some with 8-megapixel front facers. Yeah. So, that's not always, just resolution isn't going to help with noise necessarily if your sensor is still tiny and the lens is awful. But all these companies are working on this in their own ways.
40 megapixels and a 1/10 inch sensor.
That's right. Yeah, I've written a couple editorials on this as well. And I think HTC has been the pioneer here in the States with a meaningful improvement. I honestly think that a wide-angle lens makes a lot more sense when you're talking about a front-facing camera than a bump in resolution. But maybe we'll see both of them. And then some other OEMs came in behind it and started offering stuff in the States here, too. I can't think of any at the moment, but HTC is no longer the only stateside manufacturer to manufacture with stateside offerings. To bring a wide-angle lens, but in the front side. So, yeah, that is. We'll see more of it. Jonathan, thank you for that. And please, soldier on with your intention to remove 10-inch tablets from concerts.
Boo.
Fully there with you. Taylor, read the next one for us.
Yeah, this one is from Christopher from Hong Kong. He says, I've been a listener since the first episode, and the show won't be the same without the amazing crew. Keep up the great work.
Are we breaking up?
Yeah, as you know something we don't.
No, Christopher, thank you.
Yes. Anyway, I really need your options, your opinions on whether it's a good time to buy the Pebble smartwatch. The Pebble was announced in mid-2013 in the Pebble Steel, even though it just launched. The spec is still basically the same as the original Pebble. Should I wait for the next Pebble, or maybe see what other manufacturers will announce in the next couple of weeks, then decide? I just ordered Pebble Steel last night. But,
whoa, really? You finally did it?
I did.
Nice.
I did. I couldn't take it anymore. Yesterday I was using my Pebble, and I'm like, this thing is just not the same after using Pebble Steel.
So jelly.
But, yeah, I have. I sent Miriam an email, and I was like, I used Pebble Steel, and now I can't go back to my other one. And her email response was, yes, ! That was it.
Well, she's at South by Southwest, so she's probably busy.
No, this was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
But to Christopher, I don't know if I would recommend buying Pebble Steel just yet. If you're going to wait, then wait, because the ship time on Pebble Steel is 6 to 8 weeks. If you're getting the regular Pebble, if you're getting a normal Pebble, it ships right away, and it's only $150. So if you're comfortable with it and you think you want it, yes, but I really have a hard time recommending the Pebble Steel or the Pebble over the Pebble Steel just after using both for such a long time.
Yeah, the lead times on those are really long. I mean,
6 to 8 weeks.
Tony has prodded me for updates like 4 times, and it's like I didn't even submit the order for him. He just Tony's like using me as his secretary to get Pebble status. I'm like, Tony, they'll get it to you when they get it to you. And like, this is the last time he asked. I told him, I was like, yeah, they're still working on it. He's like, this is outrageous.
It's a really high demand, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
it was a great watch. And unfortunately, actually, Pebble just reshared my reviews, which was awesome. I woke up to that this morning.
Nice.
Great news.
Cool.
But I don't think anything is going to happen in the next couple of weeks. That's the thing. We might get... we already have pricing on the new Gears, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we have pricing on those.
The next big smartwatch news probably isn't coming until July, I'd guess, if we do hear about the Google Watch at Google I/O.
Well, that's June, isn't it?
June or July?
June.
One of those.
Yeah, so it's early June, or no, late June. So we'll see if there's going to be anything from Google in terms of that. Maybe an Apple Watch in the fall. I highly doubt it at this point. I don't know.
I think we'll see it. I think we'll see it. They said they're going to bring a new category this year, so I think that's what it's going to be. Yeah,
maybe, or maybe they'll release a television.
Apple shoes.
That will not happen.
Apple shoes. Right now, if you really want a smartwatch, I would recommend getting the Pebble Steel, but I wouldn't be in any sort of hurry to order one because 6 to 8 weeks anyway.
Same time, yeah. They said limited quantities though too.
Yeah.
So we don't know if they're ever going to run out. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I have a hard time believing they would just not make it anymore.
Just get one of the plastic pebbles and a can of metallic spray paint and go nuts.
You'll be set. So this is crazy. I have now updated the post 3 times to try and get the piece of mail on our rundown, and the post refuses to go past the first sentence of this person's email. This is nuts. 381 is buggy as F.
I refreshed. Sorry, but the page you requested does not exist.
Yeah, it's because it's changing the URL every time I refresh it. All right. Well, I'm just going to read it from the inbox, and you guys stop refreshing the page. We're done anyway after this. This is an email that I wish Jaime was on the air for. Specifically wanted him on the air for this, but Jaime is not in Romania anymore. He's not in the land of free-flowing internet and consistent access to power. So that stinks. Anyway, this is a cool email. This is from Virag, whose name I'm sure I've mispronounced, a.k.a. Girly Droid. I'm an avid listener and an all-time fan of the show and all the rest of Pocketnow's output. Michael has such a calming voice, and I just love listening to all the geeky stuff you guys manage to hoard up every week. Especially when I'm doing a bit of catching up and smirking at your far-off predictions. Yeah, they get pretty wild, I agree. Taylor Martin, man. Here's a question for you guys. Something that's been baffling me for a while. My husband's been taking my 10-year-old MP3 player to the gym because he's concerned about the safety of his new Nexus 5. And because he hasn't found a way to keep the phone on his person during his workout routine. Now that tiny player's eventually stopped breathing, he's facing a difficult choice. He's reluctant to buy a new MP3 player with his shiny new phone as an alternative, but the question is, where is he going to put the phone to listen to his favorite podcasts? I've half-jokingly suggested a fanny pack, and we've been looking at armbands, but is that a viable option for all the stuff with dumbbells and bars? I'd be grateful if you could let me know how you guys cope, or if you've seen any product that might solve our problem. Huge thanks and greetings from snowy Switzerland. Virag, a.k.a. @Girly Droid. First things first, I'm going to get you guys to weigh in on this, but I want to say you must tweet Virag. You must tweet at Jaime Rivera, at Jaime_Rivera, and at Anton Dinoj, ANTONDNAGY. Both of them work out much more than any of the three of us on the air right now.
I'm not even sure what a gym is. I don't even know what a gym is.
So, but these guys literally spend, they go to the gym every day, or they run every day, or they do crazy physical stuff every day. And I wish we'd held this email for an episode where they were on, but unfortunately we didn't. So definitely hit them up. Listeners also, you should feel free to tweet at Girly Droid if you have an answer to this question. But in my limited experience with, because I'm active during the summer months, I go outside with my phone and stuff, and I used to the belt clip solution back when that wasn't, guaranteed to get you arrested by the fashion police. Shut up. I sold Nextel phones. Holsters were part of the job. So I used to like that. I found that to be very nice. But, and the Nexus 5 is lightweight. You can find a solution that clips it to your, the band of your, gym shorts or something like that. No, you wouldn't want to wear it out to a fancy dinner at the Macaroni Grill. But, it'll keep it in place for a little workout session. I think a little inexpensive pouch would be fine for that.
You don't want to wear it on that date to McDonald's either.
That's right. You don't want to go out to the Outback Steakhouse with a pouch like that. They won't let you in the door.
When I was working out, I had an armband.
Nice.
I would run, but it wasn't big enough for anything much larger than an iPhone. That's where a lot of the problem starts, is not many sports armbands work with something much larger than the iPhone.
And phones aren't getting any smaller as time.
No, they're not.
They certainly are not, no.
Unless you want to get a mini phone, which is not so mini and...
There was that one Arcos model at MWC that was exactly what this question is asking for. It was a smaller Android phone with a matching armband. It was a completely awful piece of hardware. It had a QVGA display, but if you're just looking for media playback, it might be okay. But I don't think that's what we're talking about here. We're looking for either how to use your daily driver safely while exercising, or having some really... honestly, I would say just spend the $15 on another 4 gigabyte MP3 player that if you break it is no problem. Because I am terrified of damaging my phone. I was going to say every time I leave the house, but even when I'm in the house, I'm constantly worried I'm going to drop the damn thing.
Yeah.
If you can avoid that, I mean, and you were perfectly happy with the level of functionality you were getting from a basic playback device, then you can still find them. I know this isn't the cheap MP3 players podcast, but
there's a lot of those.
Yeah, when I was going to the gym, though, I would use Bluetooth headphones. So I
totally.
Okay, yeah.
So you could leave it in your pocket and then use the controls on the headset.
I would sit the phone away from where I was working.
What?
Or working out. Yeah.
You work at the world's safest gym? Do they have to vet people to get in? Because people steal ish at the gym, man.
Well, I went to the gym that's about 30 yards from my apartment. And you have to have
just put your phone in the window and you can get Bluetooth.
Yeah, just leave the phone at home.
Yeah.
So a quick Google search for Nexus 5 workout produced a few armbands that don't look horrible, and I'm sure that there are some other solutions. So hopefully you find something. But what?
An elastic headband.
I'm envisioning like a sweatband that you put the phone in right on your forehead.
I did the same thing. As soon as he said that,
armband.
That was the first thing I did.
Great minds.
No, it's the same thing. Armband, is that a viable option for all the stuff with dumbbells and bars? I wouldn't want a phone constricting my circulation on my bicep when I'm pumping iron and boosting my guns. You know.
What if it was like a Galaxy S5 and it's measuring your heart rate while it's strapped on?
That's the solution. There you are, and it's sweat-proof, right? So, yeah, get a Galaxy S5.
No, because sweat is salt water. We all know how that
true.
works.
We do know how that works out, yeah. All right, never mind. There is no solution. Stop working out.
Get friendly with whomever has control over the gym's PA system and plug your phone into that.
Exactly right. Now, hopefully, there are some solutions out there. I don't think an armband is the way to go. I really think I would just try it out. I would get the cheapest little belt pouch I could find that held my phone securely, and I would deal with the withering looks of my gym companions as I clipped it to my neoprene shorts.
Or maybe one of those late
shorts.
90s, the really tiny backpacks. Does anybody remember these?
No.
Doll-sized back? Okay. You guys just not clued into fashion like I was.
I guess not. Well, I hope that spewing of random advice helps you somewhat, girly droid. And thank you for writing in. We hope you'll continue to listen. Gentlemen, let's say we stop talking for a while.
Why don't you go work on your sentence structure?
You know what sucks is I have to go get in the shower right now and look presentable for the Pocketnow Roundup, which I'm filming today, which stinks because I obviously can't talk very well right now.
There was a moment right before I was getting ready to come on here. I'm thinking, do I need to put on a clean shirt and run a comb through my hair? Nah. Podcast.
Well, folks, thank you for tuning in, and that is going to do it for this episode of the Pocketnow Weekly. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me. And again, for your listener mail every week, we thank you one more time. We love it. Even if it doesn't make it to the airwaves, we do read every piece sent to us at podcast@pocketnow.com. Yes, even inflammatory ones, Stefan Constantinescu. Also be sure to find us on Twitter. Anton is at Anton Dinoj, Jaime is at Jaime_Rivera, Taylor is at CasperTech, and I am at Captain Two Phones. None of those guys are on the podcast except for Taylor, so Steven is at Steven
I have Twitter too.
Steven Schenck, StephenSchencck. You can also follow Pocketnow officially at Pocketnow on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Google+. Leave us a review on iTunes, Xbox Music, or Stitcher. And as always, our heartfelt thanks one last time for listening. And we'll be back with more Mobile Tech Talk next week.
I have nothing clever to say.
That is not any different than the past hour and a half.
It's not like we don't know what it is already.
You guys will mention something about that, and I'll be like... And then you guys will mention something else.
Like a little schoolgirl?
Yeah, exactly like that. Listen, I gotta go.
Wow. Go get some sleep, bro.
I gotta get some coffee, bros. All right, Brotown USA, excellent. Steven, thank you. As always, you're amazing.
No problemo.
You're great. Let's
get
have coffee sometime. Taylor, let's never talk again.